All right, folks, we have here Doug Darby, Alex Dean, the famous Ben Storick. They've got a new model here. It's called the what, Doug? What is it called?
It's the Blackout Mods Specter V2 M edition, and the M stands for Monocoque. Monocoque. It's actually a monocoque frame. When you see the video of it close up, 2 carbon fiber hand laid pieces molded together. So you have one complete chassis. The chassis, the frame, the body, all one, extremely strong, extremely rigid. And then it allowed Dionis to do some other really innovative things. He put the motor upside down to get the motor closer to the main shaft and higher to the CG of the boom, and it increases the roll rate. It's fast. You'll be able to hear that from Alex and Ben. They've just flown it. We've got, I guess, 3 flights on it, probably about 15 minutes. Everything seems to be performing as we planned. So it's actually this process started. Dionis was dreaming of this about 2 years ago, and he kept talking about it and saying that it was too difficult to design, too difficult to hand lay up the parts. And 2 years later, he's got it done. So anyway, it's a revolution to gas helicopters in terms of many things.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just gonna look at this model. See, if you look at it closely, like you said, it's all one piece. All this is carbon, and you and your partner designed this, correct?
I didn't. Dionis designed it.
Oh, Dionis
himself.
Got you.
Dionis,
Okay.
the owner of Blackout Mods.
Okay.
In Greece, he did all the design work.
Okay.
I helped him on some ideas. We collaborated on locations of how we would set things up in terms of the flybarless and the battery and that sort of thing. But anyway, like I say, it's all his design, all his brainchild. The other thing that is unique about it, you'll see, is this gear drive that goes from the clutch. Of course, the clutch is upside down because the engine's upside down, but it's all gear drive from the clutch to the jack shaft, and then he had machined his own main gear so that the gear ratio is perfect at 6.89 gear ratio, and so there's virtually no drag in the gear train other than the tail belt.
I think what Doug's not pointing out, he's mentioning that it's all gear driven, but pretty much every other gas power machine is belt driven from the motor to the clutch, from the clutch to another pinion.
Gotcha.
So it's unique in that form.
One thing that stood out to me is this fuel tank.
Yes.
You've literally never seen this. Well, I haven't on any model before, where it's very circular. It has a very sexy feel to it. Also, when I saw Ben flying it, there was no bubbles, there was no movement. It looked like a glass of water just sitting there while he was hovering. So
Yeah, it's running super smooth.
yeah.
Right. It's and basically the tank is a carbon fiber tube, hand laid carbon fiber tube, and then the Lexan lenses on the end. They're sealed with Viton gaskets and Viton grease, and then the bolts are sealed with a Viton tape so that there's absolutely no chance of leakage on either end. Unlike most gasser kits you buy today, the fuel tank comes completely plumbed, clunk in the tank, all the lines are belt, plumbed clear out to the carburetor. Basically, all you have to do is cut your carburetor lines the length you want them, plug them onto the carburetor. So very nice from that standpoint.
Okay, so if I wanted to get this whole situation here, how is it coming as far as packaged to a customer?
When it comes packaged to a customer, basically it's the clutch comes as a piece that comes on the bottom of the motor, and then the drivetrain, the gearbox drivetrain, comes in a little package. The main gear comes in a package.
It comes with a different main gear because for the gear ratio,
Right.
he had to make a special
The
main
XL
gear.
POWER gear ratio, main gear will not work. It needs a custom gear for that.
Gotcha.
And then this top piece to the motor mount is separate.
Okay.
And then the frame comes complete with the tank included, tank pre-plumbed. You get this piece right here, which basically what we ended up doing is relocating the XL Power tail servo, which is normally in this area. We relocated it to this area to give us more room to put a flybarless or whatever else you need electronics in this area. But you still maintain the upper flybarless control. All you have to do is basically cut the tail rod down 155 millimeters, and you're right on where you need to be. Easy access. I also like the fact, I didn't realize it till we put it together, much easier access to set the tail throws, change the location of the arm, things like that when you're setting the tail up on your fly barless. He also set it up, if you look on this side over here, you can see the expert switch. He cut a piece and has it set up for the expert switch.
Okay.
So you can easily plug that in, bring the wires up. The other things that are pretty unique to it is you can see the wiring is all pre-laid out. There are rubber grommets everywhere the wire goes through the frame. You can see the rubber grommets on this side. There's rubber grommets on the other side. Basically, it makes wiring the machine so much easier. You don't have to worry about, well, I have to protect these wires or protect those wires.
Right.
And all that's done. Dionis does that all before he ships the machine. It all comes pre-laid out that way. Plus, the other unique thing to this machine, there are some conversions with some nice manuals out there, but Dionis did an owner's manual for this machine that is second to none from what I've seen. Every step of the construction and is detailed out with pictures, verbiage, circles on the picture saying Loctite these bolts, don't Loctite these bolts, put these bolts in first, don't put these bolts in until later. It's just a foolproof manual. Anybody, if you've never built a gasser, anybody could open that manual and go through it page by page and complete the construction and have it be rock solid.
I love it. Okay, so I'm pretty sure someone watching this video might say, Doug, how much is this gonna cost me?
Well, it's listed on the website right now. Dionis's website is $2,400 for the conversion.
Okay.
That sounds extremely expensive, but the reality of it is when you consider the molds that were made for these frame halves, the fact that each one is hand laid up with multiple layers of carbon fiber and glue, and then it's suctioned to get the air out of it, and then it's baked and suctioned again. Then when it comes out of the mold, it's hand polished. Dion hand polishes each one. He's got about 6 or 7 days to build one chassis, basically build one chassis. So the reality of it is $2,400. He's not even coming close to recouping his money, but it's something. The good side of it is that the parts that you need from the donor model are substantially less than what you would on a normal conversion. All you basically need is the head, this bearing block in here, 2 servo mounts, because 2 extra ones are included. You need the anti-rotation bracket, you need the landing gear, and you need the boom and the belt and the tail assembly, and that's it. There's no frame parts.
The tail gear.
And the tail gear, the auto rotation gear.
Okay.
So there's no frame pieces, there's no frame spacers required. There's no extra bearing blocks required, just the one simple bearing block here. Dionis includes the 3rd bearing block that's needed, it's custom made. So it's, I haven't priced it out that way because we had a donor model we took these off of. But I really think chances are you can price out the parts and get the parts for a lot cheaper than you could buy a kit or probably buy a used model.
Gotcha.
And end up with brand new parts on it.
Okay, so now that we know all about this model, let's hear from Ben and Alex on the way it flies.
Well, as you guys know, I've flown a few gassers in my lifetime. This one is by far the best gasser I've ever flown. Oof. And I've only got 3 minutes on it, so
Right.
It's pretty easy to tell that it just flies great. The rolls and flips are very axillary, and it's just great CG, flies great.
Right. I heard you like as soon as you got it up and did a couple rolls,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, it rolls so good, it's so axial.
Amazing,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's indeed because the motor is so much higher. The motor's
Right.
higher, it's sucked back closer to the main shaft, so right in line with the boom, you've got all that weight right in line with the boom.
Yep.
What's your thoughts, Mr. Dean?
I think that I'm going to bring up the cost because it's expensive. But if you're a gas powered fanatic,
Yeah.
once you've flown this thing, you kind of go, wow, I hate to say it that way, but it's worth it. It really is. The second you take off, you go, oh, it feels different. I mean, Ben said the same thing that I did as soon as I took off. I just
Yeah.
went, oh, this is awesome. Because you don't have, the engine's massive compared to a nitro or an electric model or something.
Right.
And with it way up there, when you're doing rolls, it's not moving at the same speed that something that's spaced out farther away from the center of gravity is or from the blades. And so when it stops, that extra inertia is just not there, and it really feels responsive. It feels lighter because the model is lighter than every other model that's out there.
Yeah.
This one's almost a pound lighter than the other two versions.
Almost a pound. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think everybody knows my focus on gassers has always been to get them as light as we can and as powerful as we can, because Ben and I have been flying gassers for God knows how many years. I can't recall. A long time. So I've always kept it performance related, and I've had a lot of lightweight gassers, but when we put this one on the scale the other day in my shop, we were shocked to see that compared to the lightest gasser I have, it's about 5 ounces less than that. And compared to we had 2 gassers that right off the shelf that are commercially available, and one of them was virtually a pound less, and the other one it was like 14 ounces less. So it's shocking, and of course every step of the way that was Dionys's focus, that the monocoque chassis frame would do that you're getting away from a whole lot of extra bearing blocks, a whole lot of extra frame spacers, 2 parts of the frame. If you build an XL, you've seen it, you've got all those spacers in the back that space the outer frames from the inner frames, all those bolts, all that stuff adds up to weight. So, and then the other thing that's interesting about this is the 3 flights we've got on it today, it's 92 degrees out there. The relative elevation is somewhere between 2,700 feet and 3,600 feet of elevation, even though right now we're sitting at 600 feet of elevation. So the air is horrible. And this has just got the standard M Studio 320 pipe on it, or muffler on it. There's no pipe on it. It will have a quick draw in its future. There's no doubt about it. And I'm excited to see what we do when we increase that 1.5 horsepower to it. But it flies right now in this configuration as well as anyone I've seen.
All right, well, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for giving us the walk around about this new model coming out. So it's on the site now. It's available for purchase now. Right. So we'll have it on Heli Direct and all that stuff. So check all the links and all that stuff and descriptions and stuff on the video. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Peace. Hey, so Ben, what is the name of this new gasser?
I don't even know, to be honest.
This is the Blackout Mods Monocoque, which he's just calling the M.
Mono what?
Monocoque.
All right, listen, it's just the M series. How about we just call it the M
like
series?
the M series.
You're right.
I vote for that.
All right. This is almost a maiden?
No, this is like the 3rd flight.
Oh, 3rd flight. All right.
Okay.
All right.
My first flight.
His first flight with the M series. 1-piece frame, circular fuel tank, cylinders. That sounds good. Here we go. Like a glass of water sitting on a table.
She flies good degrees right now, so.
Right.
A little bit at the end, yeah.
I wonder if it's just getting hot.
Was it getting hot?
I mean, it is almost 100 degrees out here, so.
Yeah.
I might have something to do with it.
80% humidity.
Yeah. It's thick. It's like cake.